The sea stretched endlessly beneath the warm California sun, dotted with white sails and glinting hulls of luxurious yachts. The Santa Monica Marina buzzed quietly as wealthy elites sipped champagne, laughed in linen suits, and showed off their designer lives. But one man stood out. Not because he tried, but because he didn't. Wearing a worn gray hoodie, faded jeans, and sneakers that had clearly seen better days, Keanu Reeves walked slowly down the dock, hands in his pockets, eyes calm. A scruffy backpack swung from his shoulder, and his hair, slightly tangled by the ocean breeze, fell into his eyes. He looked like someone out of place, almost like he had lost his way or taken a wrong turn into the world of billionaires. A few heads turned. Some whispered. A tall, tanned man in a floral shirt leaned closer to his wife, chuckling under his breath. "Who let the homeless guy into the marina?" His wife laughed too, eyes narrowed. "Maybe he's here to wash dishes." Keanu heard it. Of course he did. But he said nothing. Instead, he kept walking slowly toward the end of the pier, where a breathtaking $150 million yacht stood. Sleek, shining, and enormous. It dwarfed everything else nearby. Two deckhands were polishing the railing when they saw Keanu approaching. "Hey! Hey, buddy!" one called out, holding up a hand like a stop sign. "You're not allowed here. This is private property. Step back." Keanu gave a slight nod and replied gently, "Just here to see the boat." "Yeah? Well, you can see it from back there," the second deckhand added with a smirk. "You think someone like you is stepping on this yacht? Try the tour boats down the dock. Maybe they got room for you." A soft chuckle escaped from a group nearby. 4 young influencers with cameras, capturing content for their luxury vlog. One of them zoomed in on Keanu's face. "Hey man," he shouted, "give us a sad look for the thumbnail. Homeless man cries near $150 million yacht." Keanu stopped. He looked at them, his eyes calm but unreadable. For a second, something flickered there. Not hurt, not anger. Just quiet observation. Then he smiled faintly and said, "You might want to record this part too." One of the influencers raised an eyebrow. "Why?" Keanu pulled out a small black keycard from his back pocket. The laughter stopped. "You're joking," one of them said, stepping closer, frowning. "That's not—" A moment later, a sharply dressed middle-aged man in a navy blue suit stepped off the yacht. He spotted Keanu instantly. "Mr. Reeves," he called out with a warm smile. "So sorry to keep you waiting. Your captain's inside and everything's ready. Shall we begin the tour?" The dock went silent. The floral shirt man's mouth hung open. The influencers lowered their cameras slowly. The deckhands froze. Keanu gave a small shrug, then walked past them all, stepping onto the polished deck of the yacht. As the sun hit his face, he looked back and said, with that same soft tone, "Be kind. You never know who you're really looking at." Inside the yacht, everything sparkled. Glass panels reflected the sea, gold accents glinted in the corners, and the soft hum of engines blended with the hush of luxury. But Keanu didn't seem impressed. He simply nodded as the suited manager walked beside him, explaining the features, like he was presenting a palace to royalty. "We had the new dining area renovated last week, just like you requested, sir," the manager said with a practiced smile. "The chefs are ready for your menu tonight, and we've installed the meditation deck on the upper level exactly as you designed it." Keanu glanced around, almost disinterested. His mind wasn't on the yacht. Back outside, the group on the dock still stood there, stunned. The man in the floral shirt looked at his wife, whispering, "He owns that thing." The influencers were now arguing about whether to edit the footage or keep it raw. One of them had a shaky voice. "Dude, we mocked Keanu Reeves. This video's gonna get millions, or get us canceled." Meanwhile, Keanu walked slowly through the yacht's lounge and looked out at the marina through the tall windows. He could still see the people outside, still see their faces, judgment, amusement, confusion. But he wasn't angry. He looked disappointed. He turned to the manager. "Do you remember the boy I told you about?" he asked quietly. "Yes, sir. The one from the inner city school. We've arranged his visit for next month. Full access. He'll get to meet the crew and even captain the yacht for an hour." Keanu nodded. "Good. And the scholarship?" "Already funded." Keanu didn't smile. He just closed his eyes for a second, then said, "Let's do 10 more." 10 more scholarships? "Yes. And make sure they're kids no one looks at twice." Back on the dock, the floral shirt man finally spoke louder, trying to joke. "Hey, Mr. Reeves. Sorry about earlier. Big fan, by the way." Keanu walked out again, paused at the edge of the deck, and looked at him. "No worries," he replied calmly. "You taught me something important today." The man laughed nervously. "Oh yeah? What's that?" Keanu looked at him with steady eyes. "That even a $150 million yacht can't protect you from being judged like you're worthless." The laughter stopped again. Suddenly, a young girl, around 10, rushed down the dock, pulling her mother's hand. She pointed at Keanu and beamed, "Mom, look! It's him! It's him! He came to my hospital when I had surgery." Keanu bent down and opened his arms as the girl ran up to him. "You look stronger than me now," he smiled, hugging her gently. The influencers stared in silence. One of them lowered his camera. "Man, we really messed this one up." But they didn't know. This was only the beginning. What Keanu had planned for that night on the yacht would change more than just a few minds. It would ripple across the city and reveal something even deeper about who he was. That night, as the city lights shimmered in the distance and waves gently rocked the yacht, a quiet transformation was unfolding inside. The yacht, usually a symbol of luxury and private indulgence, had been repurposed, at least for one night. No flashing cameras, no celebrities, no business tycoons, just people. Forgotten people. One by one, guests began to arrive. A boy in a wheelchair with big eyes and a handmade tie. A single mother who worked night shifts cleaning offices. A high school teacher who had been laid off last year. A war veteran with trembling hands and a quiet face. They stepped onto the yacht, confused, but welcomed with grace and warmth. Keanu stood at the entrance, shaking each hand, offering a gentle smile. No press, no announcement, just silent respect. Inside, soft music played. Tables were set with care. The chefs, who had trained in Europe, served meals designed by Keanu himself. Simple, warm dishes, inspired by his childhood. He moved from table to table, talking with each guest like they were old friends. On the dock, the group that had mocked him earlier still lingered, watching from a distance. One of them, a girl who had been the loudest, now sat with her phone off, her eyes following Keanu's every move through the windows. "He invited them?" she whispered. "Not us," the floral shirt man added. "He didn't even look at us again." Suddenly, a light flickered on the yacht's highest deck, and Keanu walked up a narrow staircase alone. Everyone watched. A crew member handed him a small mic. Keanu looked at the stars for a moment before speaking. "When I bought this yacht," he said softly, "I didn't want it to be a secret. But I also didn't want it to become a trophy. I grew up with pain, with loneliness. I know how it feels to be invisible." He paused. "Tonight isn't about wealth. It's about dignity. It's about reminding people that no matter what this world says, you matter. You deserve to be seen, to be heard, and to be celebrated. Every single one of you." There was silence. Some cried. Others just closed their eyes and breathed. Then something unexpected happened. Keanu pulled a folded letter from his jacket. This was written by a janitor who used to clean the building where I filmed one of my earliest movies. He passed away last year. He never asked me for anything. But after he died, His daughter found this note addressed to me. He opened it. "Dear Mr. Reeves, thank you for treating me like I was somebody. Not many people do. You talked to me like I was your equal. You didn't know it, but you gave me something money can't buy. Respect. I'll never forget that." Keanu's voice cracked. "That's why I'm doing this." At that moment, the influencer girl wiped her eyes and turned to her friends. "We came here for content. He came here for them." But no one answered, because something had shifted. And none of them were ready for what would happen the next morning, when the media caught wind of what Keanu had really done, and the world saw a side of him they never expected. By the next morning, photos had leaked, not the polished, staged kind influencers chase, but raw, blurry images captured by a dock worker. One showed Keanu sitting cross-legged on the yacht floor, laughing with a child missing his front teeth. Another showed him carrying food trays to an elderly couple like a humble waiter. No PR team, no hashtags, just truth. The story exploded. Major news outlets ran the headline, "Keanu Reeves turns $150 million yacht into floating shelter for the forgotten." Social media flooded with reactions. Not just praise, but reflection. People began asking themselves, what have I done with my privilege? When was the last time I made someone feel seen? But while the world buzzed, Keanu was already gone. Not vanished, but back in his quiet rhythm. A hoodie, a train ticket, and another city. That's how he moved. But something unexpected happened. The influencer girl from the yacht, her name was Vanessa, posted a video. Not a vlog. No makeup, no filters. Just her in a hoodie, sitting on her bedroom floor. "I came to the yacht hoping to go viral," she began. "I left realizing I've been invisible to the people who actually matter." She took a deep breath. Keanu didn't embarrass us. He just showed us the mirror. And honestly, I didn't like who I saw. The video gained millions of views. People started tagging her in number B like Keanu challenges. But instead of dances or trends, it was people buying meals for strangers, writing letters to veterans, sitting beside homeless folks without judgment. 1 week later, a journalist caught up with Keanu at a train station. She asked him, "Why don't you ever take credit for these things?" He smiled gently. "Because it's not about me. It's about what we choose to see." She followed up, "So, what's next for you?" He looked at the crowd boarding the train. An old man with a walker, a woman calming a crying baby, a teenage boy staring blankly out the window. "I'll keep riding with them," he said. "That's where the real stories are." As the train doors closed, Keanu sat near the back, unnoticed by most. He looked out the window, not at the skyline, but at the streets below it, the places most people avoid. And in that moment, it became clear. Keanu Reeves didn't need a stage. He didn't need a spotlight. Because he had something far more powerful. A heart the world couldn't ignore, even if he tried to hide it.